Welcome to Table Talk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D banter between three men in a bedroom. If you like their style, come back every Friday for another upload. Now, back to the boys.
So, I've been betrayed.
You've been betrayed?
I've been betrayed.
Judas is in the building. Let's go,
As you
boys.
know, I'm a married man.
Okay, okay.
Drew, she's gone. She walked out.
She left?
She left to play D&D with her friends today. She left.
Without you?
She left to go play D&D. Yeah, so she tells me last week, right? She comes home and she's like, "Hey, ex-coworker Eric, who is a civilian, by the way. So this is a person who works in her office and has invited her and some other of the coworkers they have to go play in a D&D group." And I was like, all right, that sounds awesome. I have podcasts to record on Thursday, so have fun, right? And I was bluffing. Right? I didn't want her to go. She shouldn't. She can't. I'm the D&D guy. Bro. I'm the D&D guy around here, She doesn't have to play in my games.
God. That's crazy.
And so she went. She's making her character today. Her friends have convinced her to play a wizard. And I said, "You're going to play a wizard I was like, "You're going to play a wizard?" And she was like, "Yeah, I guess I got to play wizard. They convinced me." And I was like, "Okay, good luck."
That's tough, man.
It is tough. It is tough. So, but yeah, all in all, I'm actually really excited to hear what's going on in her D&D game because it was really funny. Her coworker, I asked her, I was like, "Well, which player's handbook do you need? I'll let you take it to character creation, right?" And she was like, "We're playing 5e." And I said, "Which one?" And she goes, "Let me text ex-coworker and ask her." And I was like, "Okay." So she does. And right before she leaves, I go, "Hey, which one did you need?" And she goes, "Oh, she said we're playing 5e." And I said,
"What?
Here, take both of them." And I took both my players' handbooks and I gave her both 5es to take with her. And then I took out the orange dice, the ones I really like, and put them in my little pouch, and she left with those. And I dropped all of my character sheets on the floor.
That's like your kid going to school for the first time. Like, "Oh, good luck. You're gonna do good." You
Right.
ruffle their hair a little bit,
Right.
like pack some carrots. Oh man.
Yeah, so my wife went to go play D&D with her friends.
See, that's a good feeling, but I also feel like that's a terrible thing. Of, well, why don't you want to play with me? Why are we not sharing in this?
We are kind of an exclusive group. Come on, none of us have even asked another person or like our significant others to play, except for the Christmas one-off.
Well, why would we? This is the inner circle. You don't get to just come in. You have to know the password.
Right. I would feel bad. I would honestly, if I had to come to you guys and go, "Can my wife play?" I would feel weird because you guys would all say yes, but some of you would probably feel like, "Oh, this is going to throw the vibe off."
Ooh. I would. Okay, so here's my take, my hot D&D take. I think it's a-okay to bring people in most of the time, right? So if it's a one-off, like we did the Zerg, the toy
Zerg.
Called Zerg one-off because that's what I played, but the one-off we did recently, that would have been fine to bring people in. If we're doing one-offs, absolutely by all means, you should bring people in.
Yeah.
But if it's main campaign kind of stuff,
right?
Get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, screw you.
I think it's important that we have time away from our loved ones to play with our other loved ones.
Yeah, all of our loved ones. No, we don't want all of our loved ones at the same table. We need separate tables.
If all my loved ones were at the same table, it would be hell.
Imagine. God.
We get my mom on it.
Dude, I think your mom would have a blast at this game. I would love to play in a one-off with your mom.
I don't think it would take much convincing. If I said, "Hey, will you play D&D with us?" She would be like, "Well, I don't know how." And I would say, "Don't worry, we'll teach you." And she'd be like, "Okay, Seth, but like, don't expect nothing of it," or something like that. And
she would kick butt though. She'd be good at it.
She would. I think she would actually be really good at it. She would be laughing really hard too. I think she would cry laughing.
Can we set this up now? Can we set this up?
We do it the wedding ceremony week. We have my mom play in D&D before the ceremony.
Incredible podcast episode. We run a one-off with our moms, and then we review how it went.
I feel like we would have to do that in person though.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Wouldn't be hard. Be all right. You're in town every once in a while.
Like twice a year.
Yeah, so we'll wait for the one of those times of the year, and we'll do a mom one-off. It'll be perfect.
I mean, it is a fun idea. It is a fun idea.
And we'll have Pat run it, so it's just completely wild.
Oh my God. Pat did a really good job this past week, though. I had a blast.
No, I was, he actually really hyped me up with sort of the vibe of the setting of what was going on. And while I did not expect to be running something longer, I have a really good idea for a character, all because of the work that he put into the setting. So
Yeah.
I'm really stoked about it.
But okay, so for background for the audience, we were told by Patrick, hey, we're going to do a little thing in order to like follow up on the campaign we did all together because we had another week where we couldn't play. So we made something happen, right? Because one person was missing from main campaign. So Patrick's like, I'm going to throw this thing together. You're going to the island of Cholt, dinosaurs and stuff, and you're all characters who are familiar with what went on in the campaign before. Cool. Every single one of us half-assed and threw together a character in 5 to 10 minutes. We all like threw something together and we're like, here we go. I've got an idea of my character and we're just going to start playing. At the end of the session,
very good session.
I loved it. Patrick drops on us. He goes, yeah, so anyways, here's my idea for kind of story stuff going forward. Like he says it like this. He goes, I'm expecting this to be a little longer than the last campaign that we did, maybe like max 30 sessions or so. And all of us were like, well, we loved it. That was a lot of fun. I didn't know I was making a character for a long term.
No.
I didn't expect to, like, luckily I made a character I was interested in playing long term anyways. But I threw this shit together, dude.
Oh yeah.
Luckily, I feel like my idea for my character and what I came out with was brilliant. Like it was really good. How he's like this half breed between like a zombified tree and a half elf. I was like, okay, this is awesome. This is perfect. I came up with a really good concept in my 5 minutes. But like, I didn't even think about it. I just chose Circle of Spores and kept going. I didn't do anything.
I'm glad it worked out for you, and I'm glad that we all put so little work into these because I hate putting too much thought into a one-off. Because sometimes I could put 8 hours of thought into a one-off, and the one-off is 3 hours.
Right.
So why did I even do that? So I waited till exactly 6 o'clock to force myself to cram this character in. I made it in 30 minutes. I've never made a character that fast, and it seemed to work out for everybody.
It was great.
Everyone had fun. Maybe we should do that for our next campaign. Just don't tell us we're starting campaign 4, and then these characters you just made. That's it. They're your campaign boys.
Yeah, okay. We're just gonna throw something together. We're gonna do a quick little thing, and this is your campaign character. Get ready for the next 5 years of your life, idiot.
I'm gonna have to rework mine. I'm not 100% in love with him. He's cool. I have a good vibe. I have a good like base, but I'm gonna have to do some retconning, but reflavoring a little bit.
I liked what you came up with. We had a good time. And it is really funny though, just the way it all turned out. But hey, hopefully it turns into a cool campaign. Now, thanks to my wife going to play, I did think of a fun topic idea for this week, and that is why because she's playing a wizard, very complex, right? She's played a druid before. We played Baldur's Gate all the way through together. She knows her way around D&D a little bit. I can't wait to ask her because there is someone who's never played before. I can't wait to ask what that player is going to end up playing because my topic for this week is why new players play rogue. I want to know why we all gravitate towards this, and if they're not a rogue, they're rogue-ish. You know what I mean? There's that archetype that they fall down where the new player plays rogue. My first character was a rogue. What was your first character, Drew?
Might have been some kind of rogue.
So we've got two of us here, and I know not our whole party played rogue. Patrick famously played a wizard his first time playing. Chase also played a wizard.
That's crazy to start with wizard, man. Like the most complicated class. I refuse.
Warlock's a little more complicated, I would think, as far as, and Artificer is way more prep, not as complicated in the moment, but like it's so much character creation. Like, okay, which 4 of these buffs am I going to choose and like subclass? And then what am I going to do for this? And there's a couple different spell choices I got to make here. Artificer's crazy with prep. And I think Artificer is the coolest thing ever. Like it's one of my favorite things to play, but the character creation is misery for me when making an Artificer.
So here's my thing so I know we're talking about rogues, but I'm going to just emphasize on Artificers and like my stigma of them at the table. I don't play Artificer. I played maybe one time, maybe twice. I don't play them because of all the work that goes in, and every time I go to read them, to me it's very Warlock-like. I'm like, what? What am I supposed to do? There's a pact, but also the invocation things, but also I have spells, but they don't work. What? And I just get really confused really fast, and there's just no reason for me to dive into that. But on top of all that, the cherry on top, when I think of Artificer, I think of Zach's character, Oswin, right? Campaign 2, huge character, totally strong, like up to level 20. I think he has a multi-class in there and all that, but there's nothing I can do that will top that. I think if I'm going to play an Artificer this week, how do I make an Artificer that's cooler than Oswin?
You don't have to be cooler, you just have to be different.
I know, but he was so cool, man.
Can I tell you, maybe this is going to be a little bit of an Artificer blending episode then, because have I told you my idea for like a long-term Artificer I would like to play?
Ooh, give it to me.
Kobold, first of all. Okay. You're a little kobold, you've got the goggles on, right? You've got a freaking like backpack, gigantic freaking backpack. And this backpack has all kinds of mechanisms and stuff coming out the sides, some vials that are on there and like tubes that go down to them. And you're freaking typing in combos and combining things to make these crazy spells come out. I'm talking like creating fireworks on the fly. Like I want to be like an explosive, like kamikaze jihad bomber. Kobold.
That'd be so cool.
Right? Isn't that, and it would be so fun, and to just play this like maniacal kobold who is just like and I want to have like a gauntlet that like you do combinations and stuff into in order to create the spells and cast them through all of the components. Your backpack is the component pouch.
There's something about component casters, man. I don't know what it is. They're just so fun. They're so interesting. They're so flavorful. There's so many options. Not that you can't, flavorfully cast something out of your staff or your wand or whatever it may be. But to say like, oh yeah, I take a leaf out and I crumble it, and as I open my hand, a tree just sprouts from the ground. Like, it's just so cool. Like, I don't know how you surpass that.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of something like that, with the druid that I just made, I wanted to, because part of his body was made of trees, I really wanted to cast Entangle and have him like press his hands in the ground like Groot and have it all like start coming up. I can't wait to actually do something like that. I got to do some little flavorful stuff, but I can't wait to actually get into doing more.
Well, now you have 30 more sessions to do it, so you have plenty of time.
I know, exactly. But so, yeah, Artificer, extremely complicated, but that is my idea. I will play a cool kobold like that one day. Goblin is a fun one like that, or like a gnome could work too, but like kobold is the one in my head that I'm like, no, I picture a kobold when I picture what I was just talking about.
So I think perfect segue, right? Back to the rogues. We were talking about Artificers and how complicated they are, right? I think there's something to be said about when you play a rogue and there's just a simplicity to it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying there's not tactics, there's not strategy. Of course there is. But compared to a lot of the other classes, it's just more straightforward. You hide, you shoot, maybe you Tasha's, you do your steady aim, right? You could half damage with your bonus or your reaction, right? There's a lot of pretty survivable options that you have, some straightforward shooting, some really easy decisions about what you're going to do with your turn, I feel like a lot of the time. And when you first start playing D&D, your first question is, how do I play? What do I do? Well, if you're a rogue, you shoot, you hide, and run around. Okay, it sounds pretty simple to me. There's something very favorable about the class that obviously we both fell into, right? I do wonder if there's a specific class or a specific subclass of rogue that people play the most.
Assassin.
Would you say
Assassin?
I would say thief.
No, but thief in one retrospect, like, it can be used in that way. I just feel like everybody sees, an automatic crit if I surprise them. Assassin. Like, I've every single person who's played rogue for the first time, including myself, picked assassin.
That's crazy. I didn't.
Yeah, but you had a lot of people around you who had the DLCs. You got to be guided. Like, when you're working out of just the player's handbook, like a lot of new players are, assassin shows up and you go, oh, big damage, cool.
That's true.
I actually think there's another reason a lot of people pick rogue, and that's because, one, people lean chaotic neutral whenever they're picking like their alignments. Not a lot of people because they think, oh, I can just do whatever I want all the time. I'm chaotic neutral. I can just do whatever and I can justify it, right?
Okay.
2, a rogue always leans into stealing and doing like just the wackiest shit possible. And so when you think about D&D and the first time you play, you explain it like, oh, we're going to role play. We're going to play pretend, basically. We're going to get into scenarios and you're allowed to do, unlike in a video game, there's not stakes. And in the traditional sense where you're going to get a game over, it's more like you can just do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. And how many times when you get into your first campaign do players end up doing PvP against each other, stealing from each other? Stealing from every, like, oh, I'm going to take her ring because this doesn't matter, right? And like, oh, what does she have on her? And I've been asked that so many times in first time sessions, like, oh, I'm going to talk to this, I'm going to go up to the first person I see and I'm going to pickpocket them. Stuff like that. The like idea of just doing crime because that's what my character does because they're a rogue. I feel like that's very enticing to first time players until you get into it enough to the point where you're like, oh, I want to be serious about D&D, which is what we eventually did. Like, beginning, we had all played for a while. I when I was playing Schmidt the Monk was basically playing a rogue. I played a monk because the DM said, you should play a monk. And I went, okay. Schmidt the Monk was basically a rogue. And he was my first like longer term character. My first actual character was a rogue with some friends my freshman year of college, but we played like 2 sessions and that was it. But Schmidt the Monk was Sonic the Hedgehog the Rogue. And I used to like just fully come out as Seth as Schmidt all the time. One time, a Nothic tried to use its wisdom save on me to like knock me out. And I passed the save and I couldn't hold back my excitement. I just went, yeah, bitch. And then it did it again and I fell asleep.
That's so good.
And it was just like, it's moments like that as a new player. And I think back to that moment all the time because I remember I was looking at the DM when I said it with like the crazy eyes of like, yeah, I got you, dude. I got you because I passed your save. And I looked at him like that and he looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, oh, I'm being a lot right now.
So funny. I kind of like the angle that you're coming at this at. I'm gonna say something a little different though. I'm gonna swerve us the other way. So instead of players picking rogues,
the characters in my life, the players,
because instead of them picking rogues because they want to do something silly or they want shenanigans, they want to play the game, right? I would say I'm gonna take a different angle and say that D&D is intimidating. Okay.
Yeah.
D&D, like I've played plenty of other games. I think of Smite all the time now that I'm into Smite. Smite is extremely intimidating going in, and I would absolutely never have played this game if it wasn't.
Yeah, so I have it on my computer. When am I going to get a text that says, "Hey, you want to play Smite with us today?"
Look! As soon as we're done with this podcast, man, let's go get some Smite in. Let's do it. And you'll probably play a rogue type of character. You'll probably play a Loki, is what you'll do.
No, I'm a mid laner. I don't play. I cannot jungle. I cannot jungle.
I've never juggled before. I haven't. I'm not ready for it yet.
Jungling is the worst thing ever. For me,
it looks really fun though. I just don't have enough knowledge to do it.
No, that's what it is. You have to know exactly when to rotate all the time, and that's why I don't do it. Because mid lane, I just have to stay mid lane until solo lane is in a fight, and then when solo lane's in fight, I go over and help. We interrupt this regularly scheduled broadcast to tell you about patreon.com/Table Talk Friday, where you can get post shows from the boys every single week. Sometimes they talk about their personal lives, sometimes they talk about gaming, and sometimes the conversation just continues where it left off. So go check out patreon.com/Table Talk Friday now.
What are we talking? We're talking about D&D. We're talking about D&D. Get away from Smite. We're playing Smite afterwards though. All right, so talk about Rogue, talking about why people pick them instead of the crime, instead of like the cool factor or the fun or the wanting to do kind of stuff you don't normally get to do. I'm going to say that D&D is intimidating, which is how we got off track.
Yep.
D&D is intimidating, and because it's intimidating, instead of picking a character that's complicated like the wizard, you're going to play something that naturally, a little bit of psychology in this, lets you hide.
Okay.
A rogue is a stealthy boy, arguably the stealthiest boy in the game, right? There are some other,
Yep.
monks and rangers that can also do some stealth, right? But when you think rogue, you think you're lurking in the shadows, you're hiding. Usually they're kind of like what I was, if I'm using the term correctly, like a wallflower. They're kind of like on at the table in the corner, listening, observer type characters, right? So, if you jump into the game for the first time, to me, I'm thinking psychology. You're playing this new game with 6 other friends that all know what they're doing, and it's, oh god, I don't want to. Oh, the guy that could pull his hood up and sit in the corner, I'm gonna do that. And I think that is a big reason why people pick them. I'm not confident, but in my brain, that's what makes sense to me. And I don't want to say why I picked it. I think I picked it because it was edgy and creepy, not because I wanted to do crime, but because I wanted to be kind of immersed in the fantasy.
Would you
setting.
say you wanted to be mysterious?
I did want to be mysterious. I absolutely did want to be mysterious.
Eknal was not mysterious in the slightest.
No. But, starting off, I'm sure I came off edgy or mysterious in the beginning. But I also played a very not mysterious rogue. Like, you can go thief, you can go assassin. I went Inquisitor rogue. Like, who does that? No one does that as a rogue. But I think that's my mentality, and where I'm going to stand is people want something that's going to kind of let them blend a little bit, and rogues do that. They let you kind of sink into the game unnoticed if you're uncomfortable, if you don't feel comfortable with doing, voices or something like that. This is a really good way to kind of just blend into the game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's simple. A lot of characters in media are popular rogues. I mean, I would put like a Flynn Rider from Tangled, right? He's like a level 1 rogue. You've got any kind of like pirate-esque character. Most of them are like swashbuckler rogues. Rogues are a big archetype, I think, in media that are very popular. So it's not weird that a lot of people would gravitate towards that for a character that they had in mind. And I think the idea of being the hero, quote unquote hero, misunderstood with their hood up in the corner is pretty enticing as well. Like, Aragorn's a ranger from Lord of the Rings, but he starts off as a very roguish archetype as well, where like he's known as Strider and he has his hood up and you don't know what his face looks like until later in the movie.
Easy Gloomstalker Ranger. Easy.
Yeah, exactly. Except he doesn't actually do like magic and stuff, so he's a ranger, but like he does tracking and all of that. But again, he doesn't do like spells.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. The lack of magic is huge.
Not having to focus on the spell. Whenever you read the block that says spellcasting for the first time, you're like, what the hell does this mean? I know now.
You want me to read 3 pages of stuff before I look at the 15 pages of stuff to pick from? Absolutely not.
Well, that's always difficult. Like, when I go to character creation, I often, even though I should know it by like the back of my hand now, and I definitely did before, but now since there's like usually a time between me playing a character, every time I go to make a character now, I have to open up the player's handbook and I have to look at the spellcasting section to see how many spells I have and everything, and be like, okay, how many is it? Okay, you're druid level plus your modifier. Okay, cool. It's like every single time. So
I always get it wrong. I always think I know what it is. Like, oh yeah, it's 8 plus 2 plus 4, right? Oh no, that's your AC. Oh crap. I screw it up every time, but it's kind of funny. You really would think we would know more stuff about D&D after 10 years of playing.
I think at the 2-year mark, I knew more than I know right now. And that's because now it's just integrated in my life and I do the same routine every week, as opposed to before I was so obsessed I knew every iota of information, And
you felt like you had to in the moment, You had people that were into this game and you want to let them down. Like, you need to be a part of the game.
That, and we were playing with like different groups here and there too, so I had to be teaching people this game constantly. Like, someone new would come in who wanted to play and ask me to show them how. That, like, I was constantly teaching someone new the game. I think I told the story where one time when I was working at the amusement park in North Carolina, Carowinds, I was working a show and my performers were all really cool. We had like 15 performers, right? And about 9 of them really wanted to play D&D. And it was like 9 or 10 of them wanted to play really badly. And so I was like, and they were like, hey, Seth, you have been, like, you talk about D&D all the time. I brought some of my books with me sometimes to read through them while I was at work in between shows. I would do that and take notes for the campaigns I was prepping for you guys.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I'd be like reading those. I would have them with me. They were like, "Hey, will you run a game for us?" And I was like, "Sure." When? Next weekend after work. And I was like, "Sure, okay. We're gonna have to make characters before then." Oh, okay. When do we do that? And I said, "How about the 30 minutes between each show? I'll have one person each show for the next couple of days. I'll help someone make a character." And I made 10 characters that week in 30-minute intervals with them.
That's absolutely no way.
I would be like, "Hey, we have 30 minutes. What kind of class are you leaning towards? What kind of weapon first thing I would ask is like, what kind of weapon would you like to use?" And they'd be like, "This kind of weapon." I'd be like, "Okay, these are the 3 classes you can choose from based on that, like that kind of thing that you'd like to use. Which one do you want?" And they'd be like, "Describe this one." "Okay, cool. Well, the paladin's kind of like this, the cleric's kind of like this, and the druid's kind of like this." "Cool. Okay, so you want paladin. Cool." And then so we would go into that, and I would basically give them options and then circle them and write them down on their character sheet for them and be like, "There's your character sheet."
That's absolutely insane. There's 0 chance my first time I could do that in 30 minutes. I can barely. I told you for the first time I made a character in 30 minutes, like the other day. Like when you sat down with me and we were in my dorm.
Yeah.
At college when we made Eknon. How long did it? It probably took like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. Yeah.
We were in there forever. I wanted to know everything. When you said I could pick from these races, I'm so glad you explained to me. Fantastic, thanks. But I need to read through all these pages. I need to see all their which ability again. Oh, okay, is this ability better? Well, let me swap back over to the half orc. That brutical critical sounded pretty good. You just got
brutical critical.
The brutical critical. I'm gonna call it that from now on. But like I don't understand how people can be, and I understand it's a game, right? I understand games are different for everybody. But I don't understand the concept of not putting your all into it, like right up front. I don't like my brain is just hardwired differently.
Well, see, I would help them with that, and then I'd be like, "Take this, think about it, go over it, and then when we get to the session, if you have questions, just ask me." And I was the like, I should have been paid for that. Like the amount of freaking knowledge and effort you put in is that of like a full-on qualified teacher. Like, I mean, and it is like really, I mean, these are textbooks that I've memorized at this point.
And some people are a doozy to try to teach D&D. Some people are just not on the right wavelength when you try to teach them this stuff, and they're not receiving what you're putting out.
Me having to explain to someone that they can't commit the R word to a goblin, and like to their body or something, like freaking necrophilia and stuff.
Yeah.
I had to tell that to guys before, and I was like, "I don't want to play with you guys anymore because you can't be doing this in my sessions."
So weird. But like, why would people gravitate towards that? That's weird.
Because they can do whatever they want, and it's not real. You can't do that in Skyrim. In this game, we can pretend, right? My character did this to a goblin. Remember that time? Some people think that's funny. I do not think that's funny.
I mean, I've told the story 1,000 times. The classic time my 1 to 3 off got completely derailed the second time I ran it due to some cannibalism for 0 reason. There was 0 reason for
I remember that.
Don't understand why to this day, and I think back on it all the time. Like, why did that happen? Did I unintentionally put a cannibalistic theme into this? Did I hint at the fact that you could eat people in this game? I don't understand why. I just don't understand people. I'll leave it at that, I guess. But play a rogue, boys. Play rogues. And if you're gonna play rogues, I'm gonna follow-up question. If you're gonna play rogues and you're a first-time player, which rogue do you play?
Assassin. It's so easy.
So you said that is the go-to for new players to play.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, maybe you're right. A lot of people do gravitate because it sounds easy. It's like, attack, do some damage. But I would argue that the assassin rogue is one of the more complicated ones.
Because of the surprise condition.
Because of the surprise condition, which still to this day, after 10 years, I don't really understand the surprise condition and how it works. And we play it weird. We kind of homebrew it, and it kind of just works how it works. It's kind of like the Inquisitor rogue, where it doesn't always come up. It's not very, I don't say it's not very good. Because the assassin rogue is very good if the right moment shows itself and you're able to use your abilities. But just the fact that you have to think about it that way, I think makes it more complicated of a rogue to play for a first-time player, unless you look at it at the angle of, well, you're never going to get to use your abilities, so just play this. it's easy, which is a terrible way to look at it. You know, what if you could go back? What would be the one you would play first time?
Arcane Trickster.
You think so?
If I could go back and choose one right now, I would play Arcane Trickster because I love blending magic with thievery. Like, so some of my favorite moments have been in campaigns whenever I, as either a wizard or a rogue, have broken off from the party to do something invisibly or done something on my own. You know what I mean? I did a one-off one time. I think it was like a level 5 one-off, and I played a wizard, and we knew there was a base that we needed to get into, and I was like, hey guys, I'll go scout ahead. So we time bubbled. I, as the wizard, turned invisible and just started going through this base trying to be super stealthy. Eventually got caught while in there and had to make a run for it. But those moments are so fun and so cool. And if you can get to the point where you can cast like invisibility and stuff on yourself as a rogue, it's so much fun. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, that is pretty nuts.
And using like Mage Hand invisibly to do things, like just having some telekinetic powers and using that. I would play an Arcane Trickster because I like being the Arcane Trickster. The last time I played a wizard for a campaign, I had a rogue subclass or a rogue multiclass.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, cool. Galandon had like 2 levels of rogue. Level 11 wizard, 2 levels of rogue when we finished, I think. Maybe it was 9th level wizard, 2 levels rogue. So I could bonus action, cutting action, everything. And
cutting action.
Yeah, I got cutting action for whatever I needed. And then I had greater invisibility. So I was using my cutting action to hide every turn while greater invisibility and using Scorching Ray with Elven accuracy to get triple advantage on every roll.
Absolutely disgustingly filthy.
Yep, it was filthy. I destroyed Strahd. Strahd was nothing after he met me.
I think Arcane Tricksters are really cool. They're not my vibe. I think they're super great, and I would recommend a lot of people play them. I think I'm biased though. I don't know. Thinking on it now, I don't think I like half casters. Now, not
I love them.
I like being a ranger. Love me some ranger. They're just kind of straightforward for the most part. You get a little bit of both worlds. Not a big paladin guy, but I love playing all of the full casters, and I love playing the marshals. Maybe I'm just not a half boy. Maybe I don't want.
And you also famously do not multiclass.
I do. I absolutely hate multiclass. There's zero reason multiclass. Why would you do it?
I would like to do an episode because I'm in the middle, right? I am for the most part have stuck with a class and maybe taking 1 or 2 levels in another class, but I haven't gone like I'm doing 5 levels of this and 6 levels of that, right? But so I'm kind of in the middle on multiclassing. A lot of our friends are diehard multiclass every single campaign. Like, I don't know the last time that Zach and Sean didn't multiclass, right? Or Pat.
I can tell you.
Zach, Sean, and Pat, I couldn't tell you the last time they did not multiclass. Chase maybe has had times where he didn't. I'm not sure. But, probably. So yeah, I couldn't tell you when the other party members haven't multiclassed. And my last character that I played long-term did not multiclass, and I know Drew's don't.
Never. There's no reason. Well, campaign 2 I did, but I tried something, and I'm not doing it again.
I thought what you did with the sorcerer plus wizard was very, very good and thematic. Anyways, I think we should do an episode in the future, and this will tease a future one, so make sure you follow us and go over to patreon.com/tabletalkfriday for future content. But we should do an episode all about should you multiclass or not, and name scenarios where it is appropriate, maybe sometimes where it's not, or like whether it is multiclassing just hype or does it like break the game? Because there are times whenever you get a combination and you're like, shit, how do I overpower this?
Well, what I could do actually is I could save us a whole lot of time. I could do the episode right now. Should you multiclass? No.
Yes, you should. I think there are plenty of times, there are plenty of scenarios where multiclassing is appropriate, and I think everyone should try it at least once. But we'll get to that in the next episode, probably. So thank you so much for listening to Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast. Remember to go to patreon.com/Table Talk Friday for the exclusive post show we're going to record right after this. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. Stay happy, stay sexy, and with that, I need for Rogue Poppy to take me out.
What's going on, guys? This is Rogue Poppy. I'm sneaking around. Can't even see me right now.
He's shirtless.
I'm also shirtless.
That's it. That's as far as we're going. I don't like the creepy, sexy rogue.